All right.
Welcome, everybody. This is the meeting of a subcommittee, deconstruction subcommittee of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee for the town of Mansfield. And we're meeting on July 24th, 2023 to discuss how we might bring about more deconstruction opportunities in projects in our town. So I guess the first order of business would be to seek a motion to approve the minutes from the June meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Susanna. Do we have a second? Thanks, Ted. Is there any discussion on those minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? No, it was all four of us voting in favor. So moved. Okay, great. So yeah, lots has been happening and I missed the last meeting, but it's great to see all that's going on. So shall we start with the questions that Susanna put together, Ginny, that you emailed out? Yeah.
Sure. Does anybody need me to screen share, or does everybody have a copy in front of them?
I have it pulled up and I have a copy. But others
I don't because I'm not on my own computer.
Okay.
So
yeah, maybe if you could screen share, Ginny.
Yeah, sure. Let me.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Excellent.
There we go.
So first of all, thanks to Susanna Everett for putting this together, right? Even though she's not here tonight. Yeah, so the idea is this would be a brief questionnaire we send out to folks on the working list of contractors in town that we also can look at tonight, and any additions that might be made. So take a second and look at it, and then yeah, let's have some discussion and observations.
No, it seemed good questions to ask and good information to gather. And I would think maybe, as we do this, we might get some feedback from them that might lead to maybe some other questions that we should be asking. But I think for a starter, this, to me, it looked good.
The comment I would want to make is that I think we can dispense with which is a subcommittee of solid waste advisory, just to make it more, succinct. I mean, yes, it is, but I doubt that's going to make too much of a difference to them, and it'll make our pitch a little quicker.
Okay. I thought it was very nicely simple and straightforward. This is what this is what we're doing, why we're doing it. Brief description of what deconstruction is, and then yeah, getting some information, but also seeking advice and whatnot. I think it's great.
Yeah, I
think it's good.
Yeah, I think we'll get very helpful information to to structure if the town is going to adopt this formally. I'm good with how it is now, and we'll find out.
Yeah, I just first apologize for my camera that is not working well, so it freezes me, but I'm here. But you must have talked about what's the method. Are these phone calls, or is it a survey we're emailing, or what are the thoughts on that?
Do you want me to bring up the list that I started of, because that might help to inform the method?
Sure.
Okay. So, I can say that there's two, well, probably three, Steve Lane, Milton Beebe, and Zlotnick Construction that I would be more than happy to contact and ask questions, unless somebody else has connections with those entities and people. I already had an abbreviated conversation with Peter Zlotnick. He had called about trash service for one of his rentals. And I said, by the way, so he's primed for getting a phone call or email from somebody. But yeah, so these are contractors that I took off of internet search, and it's certainly not comprehensive. It's not exclusively Mansfield in the case of the demolition contractors. So sorry, my microphone's up. So I don't know. It's your call as a group how you want to do this.
It is Milton Beebe and Sons, is that behind the firehouse on 195?
Yeah.
Because
I think
they
they've
just,
gone out of business, right?
yeah, they just
Yeah.
auctioned off all of their equipment.
Yeah.
But, you know, somebody can reach out and ask some of the questions.
So Ginny, it sounds like you were maybe going to do phone calls and or email to those you mentioned you were suggesting.
I was going to call Steve
Okay.
Lane and
Okay.
Peter Zlotnick. So you're saying BB and Sons are out of business now?
Yeah, but I wouldn't not, you know,
Yeah.
I would not call. I just, you know, it's just a tidbit of information. If you can't, you know, you can't get in touch with them, that might be why.
Yeah, okay.
And they may not be interested. If you do, they might not be interested in talking.
Right.
So you'd want to, you still could make the pitch, but jump to I mean, I can call them if you want. I'll,
Sure.
Yeah, they were having an auction at BB's a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know who bought the stuff or anything like that.
So are others, do others have the time to call any of these or email?
As
Yeah,
you can,
You know, I'm willing to contact you know, someone from the list or more than one someone's but we're going to use the format that Susanna
Right.
put together, correct? So we all kind of gather the same information, then whatever else they might tell us, you know, obviously we would make note of. So the only people I knew was Zlotnick, but this must be his son who was taking over the business, maybe. I think I knew, Bill knew, I think Peter's father probably. They live down the road from us on Wormwood Hill. So I don't really know anybody, and I don't think Bill would know Peter Zlotnick either, but I don't think that it really matters, you know. As long as somebody's willing to answer the questions so we can gather the information. So, you know, any of these folks, I'll be happy to contact.
do you want to start at the top of the list then? I mean, I don't the other thing is I don't know how active they are. Like this was a internet search, so,
Right,
you know, would
right.
you,
But, well, I can just, make the call and then, tell them what the call is about. And, if they say, well, we're really not, in business anymore or whatever, then that would, then we can scratch them off the list. But we probably should contact everybody just to get the list of who still does construction, in our area. So that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
how many are you willing to call?
How many are on here? I mean, if they're, if it depends on how many people are willing to make calls. The less people, I guess, the more calls I'd make. So, I don't know if anybody else has agreed that they would,
You can put me next to Stearns Properties. And that's it. Just a little side note here, we didn't get our funding, so my last day at Cyto Veris is August 15th. So I'm out searching for gainful employment now, so
Sorry to hear that,
thanks.
but
It's not a surprise.
you're an engineer. You'll be snatched up in
I hope so.
lightning speed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna be realistic in saying I won't be volunteering to make the calls because I'm behind on some things for the sustainability committee, preparing a report for the town council and whatnot. So I'm gonna, if others are willing to do this, that would be awesome. Yeah.
okay. Let's see here.
The other Susanna I don't know if the other Susanna would be interested or not, Ginny.
Well, how about, Ginny, you can, write me down for like Sunrise Construction and maybe one other one. And then, if we find out that, some people haven't been contacted, or then I'm willing to, just continue calling different people, but maybe, give me 3 at this point. And so Cherry Construction,
at Claremont Remodeling.
okay, meant 8 Federal Square. Yeah, sure. Where's Federal Square, Ginny? I'm sorry.
It's in Freedom Green.
Oh, okay. All right, sure. Put me down there. And
Is Katie on?
I'm here.
Katie, are you available to make a call or two?
I was thinking I would write letters.
Okay.
And I'm willing to write letters to everybody else that we don't pick, that others aren't going to call personally.
Okay.
I like the what was written out there. I can put it into a letter form. You had it. We might not have got it in our. Yeah, I need to get a copy of that again. You had it earlier. You said Suzanne did it. And I'll make it into a letter form, and it's easy enough to get the addresses, and I'll take care of that.
So you could, do you come by the town hall? Because they could be mailed through the town hall.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring them down to town hall. That can work.
Yeah, okay.
And then I guess it's just a matter of giving them clear instructions on who to mail it back to, or how all that works.
Right. So, yeah. So, Katie, the attachment on the meeting notice has one of them, one of the
Yeah.
email, yeah, has
It
Susanna's,
has
but
the list
I'll,
of contractors.
yeah, but also what Susanna did, I'll add the information about who to contact, like who to send information back to, on that letter, Katie.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. So I think we're good on that. Thank you, everyone, for volunteering to help out. Do we have like a rough timeline of we want to try to make these contacts before the next meeting and that kind of thing for the next month?
Sure, I mean, that's okay by me.
Okay. So we'll try to do it by mid-August. Excellent. So let's, I guess, move to the document Ted put together, which is great. Thank you, Ted. Do you want to walk us through that, and maybe Ginny can share her screen
Sure.
as well?
I think it's this one, right? Or is it? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Oh, Deconstruction Mansfield Building.
Yep. Yep.
Great.
Okay. I'm just gonna look at mine. All right. So they're inside the so what I've tried to do is provide links that you would find as you drilled down from the top, from building and housing inspection. There's yeah, so then there's building permits. The types of permits include demolition for both the commercial. There's two different permits, one for commercial, one for residential. There might be some other ones, but these would be the ones that we'd be interested in. And in there are types for that include demolition. I got on the site and I tried to register for to take out a permit so I could see how it works. But in order to put in the permit, you have to pay, it looks like. So I just went down through it and filled the permit in as though I was choosing building residential and a 400-foot new shed. I put in a money for demolition estimated cost. I don't remember how much it was, but anyway, I stopped that when I had to pay. I also asked the building inspector and the fire marshal if I could if I could get a list of the open building construction projects or the open permits right now. And they said no. They said yes, but I'd have to go through the Freedom of Information Act. And it sounds like that was just for one, to get one project. I just left it at that. I didn't want to push it, but because maybe that's a way for us to see what's out there for contractors, know who's actually working today in town. Then there's instructions on how to apply for a permit. This is a short guide, 3 pages. And it just takes you through the steps. And the demolition permit appears to have require the same information, same data as the building permits. Then there's a permitting guide. That's a whole bunch of 40 pages. And yes, included in there is demolition and building permits. It's the guy, but it also covers permits for the PZC and wetlands and things like that. So that's another place that we might be able to put some educational or information in. And then there's a residential building permit brochure. It does not mention demolition or deconstruction. It's not all that big a sheet. It's only 2 pages. At the end of the day, I guess I'm done talking about what's out there on the Mansfield building permit operation. At the end of the day, I'll bet you this stuff isn't used all that much. Given what I've seen there, a lot of it is kind of self-explanatory, and if you've done it once, just your next projects are pretty much the same. So that's something we could ask the building department, how much these sheets get used. Yeah, that's what I mentioned there. We may want to find out how often the resources are used. If they're not used very often, well, we probably shouldn't worry too much about them. Although if we do develop a deconstruction procedure process, we certainly will have to update them. But I was looking at this for at least education. Okay, there's the access to the database question. There's a link to the Restore Home Center, and there's a page on deconstruction in there. And then another idea I had was, could we look at the Connecticut license database for contractors? But anyway, that's pretty much all what I found on how what a contractor might see, or a resident may see looking through the building website to get familiar with how to make an addition or a demolition or build a new house. Any questions?
Well, I'm wondering if the IT department would have the information about how often people click on
Oh, yeah.
the various
Question.
web pages and links. Like,
Excellent question.
so I can ask them that.
Yeah, this is great, Ted. I think the idea of involving the building department at some point. I mean, yeah, maybe even asking someone to come to our next meeting to just say, this is what we've researched, this is what we're looking at. We're asking some questions of contractors. Yeah, how can we understand what you guys do and work a little better? I mean, things like not being able to see the whole process until you put money in, of a permit I've encountered that too. And it's pretty frustrating from.
Yeah, but all I would have gotten was gotten in the database and gotten my permit number. You know, then I would be obligated to, you know, send the prints and the, you know, the quotes or whatever I needed to support that.
Okay.
It's you know, it's the day to day and the variation of, you know, once I got in there, okay, I've got a, well, first, I think the first thing we want to attack would be the deconstruction or the demolition permit. And, you know, find out from the building department how often they have those, you know, and how does that typically go? Are they showing up at the beginning, at the end, during? Does the contractor just call up and say he's done? Is there any opportunity to talk to the contractor beforehand about, you know, pitching for reuse? So, yeah, it's a probably a long way around of saying is just follow, you know, just applying for a permit just starts the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And the ball, the rolling is what we want to see, not, you know, not so much the permitting.
Yeah, true. Others have comments or questions?
Say that again?
Do others on the committee have comments or questions? I think it's great, really, really valuable work.
I think this information is great. It gives us a basis to think about, and this is fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we can't approach the bill. I don't believe we can approach the building department without having, you know, having done this and being familiar with at least this part of the process that's available to us. I mean, I've taken out building permits before, you know, so, but nothing really extensive. It's been mostly repair works. Last one I put in was to get a new stove, a wood stove. You know, more, you know, those are just kind of check off the box. Although I'm going to reuse my old wood stove, much to my wife's chagrin.
Well, would it be, I think your idea of involving the building departments like spot on. I think it would be wise to invite them in for a conversation before we get to the point of saying, hey, we did all this research, here's what we think. We'd love to see the town adopt or consider some of these things, but bring them in now on like, this is what we're exploring. And do you have, I don't know, I would imagine on big projects, they have pre-permit application meetings maybe, or at least phone calls. And does deconstruction come up? Do they, yeah, what do they know? Some of the questions that we're asking the contractors, like, what are you aware of about resources for contractors, or how would you guide them if they said they wanted to do deconstruction? You know, just whatever they're observing, I think would be really valuable.
Right. Yeah. I think that list maybe with a little modification should be presented to our building department and for their feedback.
Would it be a good idea to ask if one of them might come to a meeting, our next meeting? What do you think, Ginny?
Ginny's right down the hall. Let's see what she has to say.
Sure. I could ask the director, Mike Ninto. He might, yeah, I could ask him if he or someone in his department would come to meeting. Probably Yeah, so are you thinking that you would be meeting at this time at 5 o'clock?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we have a meeting scheduled out for the next one or.
No. So, do you like the pattern of well, two questions. Do you like the pattern of like the fourth Monday of the month at 5 p.m.? Or would you want to see what the building department's availability is? Although then that throws open, okay, let's try and figure out a time to meet,
Yeah,
So I don't, what's your pleasure?
Right now, I'm good with this time interval that we've picked. But I don't know, as things change going forward, what's gonna happen. But I don't have particularly have a problem with, scheduling based on the building inspector, Mike. Either, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty flexible. I can do just about any time but the second and the first and third Mondays, I can't do anything. But the other Mondays I can.
yeah, the fourth Monday at 5 generally works for me. Did you get the
Yeah.
sense that Susanna Everett has a conflict always at this time or just tonight?
I didn't get, she just said she couldn't make this meeting. So, she did not indicate whether that's a regular thing.
Okay. How about you, Susanna?
I'm fine with whatever works for people. So yeah, the fourth Monday is good for me, but if it needs to change, I'm open to that too. So
So,
We'll ask if you want to ask if someone from the building department's available on the 28th of August. Right?
Yeah.
That's the fourth
Yeah.
Monday. And I don't think we need them for an hour, like 15-20 minutes. We can
yeah,
Right.
And we could think about some specific questions in advance so that we
Well,
make.
I think we'd want to review the feedback that we get on our questions
Yeah.
with him. So maybe, he could come at 5:30 and we could review them, first off and have some kind of, organization of the feedback.
Sure.
That way you can say, oh, you don't know how to deal with.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
okay, I'll invite them for August 28th, 5 p.m. or 5. I mean, yeah,
30, and we'll
5.
start at
5:30. Yep. Okay,
Great. Thank you, Ginny.
sure.
All right, so I guess the last item that was included in the packet was the deconstruction in Boston document, which,
I can share that.
sure.
Okay.
Just like to inject quickly here at 5:45, I'm gonna exit out and go to the town council meeting so I can listen to the SWAC presentation.
Okay,
That doesn't start until
Oh, it
7.
doesn't start till 7. You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to see the town council meeting at 7 also.
Okay,
We'll be done long before then.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
Ginny, you wanna?
Sure, yeah. So I did talk to, and actually let me go find my notes. I'm sorry I didn't do that. Okay. Yeah, so I talked to Susan Casino, who heads up the Boston Deconstruction Initiative. It's not a mandate in the city of Boston, although they are looking to put in an ordinance. So right now it's just trying to raise awareness and promote the idea and get projects underway. So what she said was that Boston has a lot of LEED certified buildings, and deconstruction significantly adds to the LEED points. Does everybody know what LEED stands for?
No,
No,
Okay, it's leadership in energy and environmental design. It's a building certification system whereby if you do certain actions and there's a menu of actions you can choose from, then your building can be certified, kind of like Sustainable CT, which has a menu of actions, and you can be certified silver, bronze, gold. Probably not in that order, but I think, yeah, I think it is in that order. So deconstruction would add to that suite of points, which would add up and, get a building silver certified, bronze, or gold. So that having LEED be a prominent thing for Boston building helps in the conversation to say, are you considering doing deconstruction instead of demolition? They also have a green building group in their planning department that flags likely projects. So there are staff people that actually go through and say this would be a great project for deconstruction. The city of Boston works with the Center for Ecotechnology. So Massachusetts has a great program with them, which offers assistance for businesses. And so does Connecticut. Connecticut has a business assistance program through CET. So we have access to CET as well. And in fact, they have come to I think it was the Sustainability Committee and talked about deconstruction. They, in their historic preservation ordinance, they have a demolition delay. So that means that there's some leeway, some time between requesting a demolition permit and getting it, which helps to insert the deconstruction process into that. And the last thing that I wrote down is that for developers and owners, they need guidance in helping to realize the savings. A lot of their savings is going to be in tax write-offs. And so one of the things that they were going to be doing is meeting with Green Mission, which I guess is an organization that helps with my understanding with the write-offs that businesses could see, in their taxes. So they hadn't met with them yet, and Susan was going to learn more about what they do and how they could offer their service. So Boston's deconstruction process seems to be fairly robust. And they do have partnerships. So this sheet here just kind of gives an outline on what they are doing, their pathways. So do you have any questions about what they're doing and, whether there's anything that I described that might be helpful in Mansfield as we're looking at, where we want to go with this?
Well, I'd be interested if the state of Connecticut has something like that, recycling works. Because that's going to be one thing that I know the regulatory committee is going to want to know as we're writing some regulations. They're going to want to give the people doing deconstruction some ideas. And if there's something in the state of Connecticut that they could partner with, that they could call and say, okay, I'm tearing down this house. What do I do next to meet the regulations? And I'm just thinking that it might make it easier for contractors to actually follow through and do it the right way.
In answer to your question, Katie, yes, CET can work with Connecticut businesses. And what they would do is kind of, they would help to match what is, they probably would not go into the building because they're in Massachusetts, but
Right.
they would work with a contractor in getting pictures of what might be a likely item that could be salvaged. And then they would do some matchmaking, try and find outlets for them. So yes, that they are available for that. When I asked them, because I did ask the same thing about could they provide us with some model legislation, not legislation, language for zoning regs.
Right.
That was, they said, well, you could go to other towns and cities that you might be able to find something. So they were not going to be doing that. So there are, you were looking into whether there were regulations that related.
And I've been looking out at different towns, haven't found any yet.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find anything in Connecticut. Where you might find something is possibly in Massachusetts or other states, but I correct me if I'm wrong, anybody else, but Connecticut is not on this yet.
Okay. I got to step away from my screen for a minute. I'll be right back.
Well, I think this Boston example is impressive. And it's interesting that it's focused on assistance, voluntary assistance, rather than the STEC. And I think that's where we would need to start. So, I mean, would it make sense to think about a very modified version of this if we had, if CET is on contract with Deep to do this kind of stuff, and we could actually offer them as a resource for contractors working in Mansfield? That's a lot of ifs. It would be cool to be able to put together something like this and offer it the assistance through CET. I don't know how realistic that is.
I think it would depend on what the project is. So,
They might
but
be willing to do large projects or, I don't know.
yeah, if you want, I can ask CET Abby, to what extent they would offer. You know, one thing that Susan said was that you really have to be out there, you know, seeking out
Yeah,
these projects. They don't really come readily to their office. So that's where the green, what was it that I said? The group, green planning group. Yeah, green building group is flagging projects. And you know, the historic preservation ordinance with the demolition delay helps to
yeah.
get some deconstruction going there.
And these are big buildings in Boston, so LEED, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of LEED stuff going up in Mansfield that's not.
Yeah. Right. But
But
yeah, I can ask about what their criteria might be, you know.
and then, I mean, as we're talking to the building department, if CET is actually a resource and some of this deconstruction, getting people to think about it is built into the messaging and the information that Mansfield puts out and provides. It only relies on the building department as one way of messaging it. It doesn't like put new stuff on their shoulders, which they might not want to take on. But like they'd be a great resource, right? If they're willing to say, hey, if you want to think about deconstruction, CET could help.
Yeah, to have the department flag people when
Yeah.
something comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Hello. Any other thoughts on hearing about the Boston approach?
Well, I gotta say that I was excited when I heard about some of it from watching a national TV program, This Old House. And yeah, they've had to deal with a lot of historic homes over the years and that, and people might put it off as that. But I just thought the whole idea was so good. And I don't see that it's really going to cost a contractor any more money. That's when I was talking with somebody about this, they said, oh, it's terrible. You're going to regulate us and it's going to cost the contractor more money and all of that. I look at it a way that the contractor might make some money on it. And also it helps the environment. I think it can be a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the key to making it a win-win situation is making it fast and easy to connect the source with somebody to pick up the material, or
I agree.
you know, there's a lot of logistics in demolition and construction, and you know, you may need something out today, and if today's turns into tomorrow because of rain or something,
Yeah.
other contractor, then it mucks up the work. So anyway, that's buyers and sellers need to be connected quick and flexibly.
So I think this has been a great discussion. We have a handful of next steps. Thanks for stepping up to volunteer to reach out to the contractors. Ginny, thank you for connecting with the building department. Maybe it makes sense for someone to just kind of think a little bit more about the questions we want to ask the building department, so we can be sharing what we heard from approaching the contractors, and then, you know, I'd be happy to make a list of questions and could email them around, and so that we're kind of have that organized when they come in.
Sounds good.
Is there anything else on next steps, Ginny, that I'm forgetting about?
Sorry. No, so we're sending out, we're calling or mailing questions to contractors. We're asking for their input by mid-August. We'd like information back by the next meeting, which will be August 28th. We're going to invite someone from the building department to attend the next meeting. And Lynn, you're putting together questions for them. But before we have their, before they come, we're going to review the feedback from the contractors. Let's see, I'm going to ask IT about the frequency of the various pages that Ted outlined. So that's information about, that will be informed information when we're talking to the building department. And I'm also going to ask CT about, you know, what their capacity of being available for contractors in Mansfield. Like, could we list them as a resource for all projects?
Yeah. That'd be great.
And you're going to email me what Suzanne had written up as sort of a script that you showed at the very first screen.
Yeah, adding like how they can respond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
And does it make sense? Would it be possible to offer them? I don't know how many people are gonna fill out a piece of paper and put it in the mail. Like, should we offer, or you could call someone if you want to respond by phone. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, well, I could, in my phone calls to some of these people, also offer that as, you know, if you're unable to kind of, you know, you want to think over what my questions are, you know, if, you know, I don't know, somebody may not be thinking deconstruction, and another contractor maybe, yeah, I know, I already do this, that, or the other thing, you know, but I could offer, like, if it's inconvenient, I could send you these questions, and if you would, you know, be willing to answer them and send them back, and we'll have a, you know, an address that they can send them, so they have an option, because people may be a little off, you know, at first, like, well, you know, what does this mean, and what's the town doing, and, you know, and we're like, no, we're just gathering some information as to, you know, if you're familiar with the concept, what do you think about it, you know, and so I can always, and if they're not that willing, I will ask if they would be okay if we send them a list of the questions, you know, and so they could take time, you know. So we may not get, you know, all the information by the next meeting, it sort of depends on how their reaction is, but at least give them an option.
Yep,
right.
like that.
So,
Great.
okay.
Okay. Ginny, any last words? Are we ready to adjourn?
I have no last words.
Okay. Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
There we go.
So,
I'll second it.
Second. All right.
Very good.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Right.